Hi, everybody. I'm Jenny Gage, and this is Life Take Two, where I share my escape from Mormon tradwife life. I want to start right from the top today by telling you what this video is not about. I'm not hoping to garner sympathy. I don't want you to make you feel sorry for me. I'm not just looking for attention. In fact, that's not why I do anything that I do. I have all the attention and sympathy and connection and love in my life that I could possibly need, but it's important for me to shine a light on the things that happen behind the scenes in the lives of former Mormons like myself so that I can raise awareness and hopefully bring about some change. That being said, I am always taking applications for older female friends to play the role that is left by the void of my mom not being in my life. So don't get swallowed up in sympathy. But if you happen to live in Arizona and want to be my adopted mom, big sister, aunt, or grandma, then that would be very much appreciated. Christmas came and went last week, and we did Christmas as a family very much alone. Let me define what my family is. My beautiful partner, Kevin, that you see in some of my videos. We've been together for 5 years now, and we have 7 kids together from ages 14 to 27, and a daughter-in-law and a very adorable 3-year-old grandbaby. My adult children, my grandbaby, my daughter-in-law, are out of state, so they're not around very much. We're just a FaceTime family most of the time. So our little nuclear family this year was me, Kev, my 21-year-old daughter, my 15-year-old son, and my 2 stepdaughters, age 17 and 14. Kevin's parents live out of state, so we don't see them very often, but they have scooped my kids up in their lives as much as they can as their own, and they don't differentiate at all. And they're my perpetual cheerleaders. And I FaceTime Kevin's mom whenever I get a chance to. And that is all we have. For many years of my life, the holidays were a time that I was perpetually going to the mailbox to check for Christmas cards, and we'd get Amazon packages on the porch from this aunt and that grandma, and my mom and my grandma would put together packages full of homemade fudge and cookies and hand-sewn pajamas for the kids and checks for going out and buying some of our own Christmas presents. And because I had this huge Mormon extended family, we would sometimes have dinner of 50 people gathering together. Sometimes I hosted the dinner. Sometimes my grandma hosted the dinner. Sometimes we're at my mom's house or one of my aunts or uncle's houses. Paper plates, plastic silverware, rented tables, folding chairs. Some of my best memories of my life are Christmas, people's birthdays, Easter, 4th of July, General Conference weekend with my whole tribe coming together and being part of that pack and eating really great food because Mormon women, we know how to cook. Let me tell you, everybody has their own like 100-year-old sourdough starter and some secret cinnamon roll recipe, and it was just magic. I no longer have any of that in my life. And it's not because those family members have all like moved out of the country or died. That's not the case at all. I have dozens of aunts and uncles, my mom and dad. The kids still have grandparents and great grandparents that are alive. And I have scads of brothers and sisters and former sister-in-laws and cousins and nieces and nephews. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of close family members. And they're all still alive, and they're all still doing Christmas dinner, and they're all still writing Christmas cards, having their family pictures taken. They're still making the cookies and the fudge and putting together boxes, and they're sending them out, and they are having Christmas dinner and opening gifts. I'm just not invited. And it is part of the cost that people like myself pay for doing what I do, which is, first of all, leaving the faith that has been the primary foundation for generations of my family, and then leaving Christianity and becoming an atheist, and then speaking up about the Mormon Church publicly. I left the Mormon Church 6 years ago. 4 years ago, I started my social medias, which have reached millions and millions of people around the world. I also do interviews. I have a book. I have documentaries. I speak up very vocally about the erroneous truth claims of the Mormon Church. the ways in which it harmed me and the potential that it has for harming others. So this year, I walked up to the mailbox every day like I have in years past, and I got exactly one Christmas card and one Christmas package from Kevin's mom and dad. And my kids did not spend Christmas Day getting phone calls and FaceTime calls from grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and cousins. They got no calls from anybody. It was just us. And I didn't spend days in advance baking and shopping for my part of the big family potluck or getting my house ready to host everybody myself. I cooked a pot of zuppa toscana for 6 people, and our tree didn't have toys and sweaters wrapped in pretty paper for our kids from grandmas and grandpas. It had just a couple of gifts for each kid from me and Kev and his parents. And I no longer spend weeks before Christmas shopping for gifts for all of my loved ones. I don't really have very many. And for the past 5 years, I've actually bought a gift for my dad, but my mom prevents me from having any contact with him, and they live 2,000 miles away from me, so I can't just go knock on his door. And I haven't talked to him on the phone for at least 2 years. He turned 82 a week ago, and there was no way for me to contact him for his birthday and tell my dad happy birthday. So I've mailed presents to him for years and have no idea if he's gotten them. And last year at Christmas time, we were living in the guest house of my aunt and uncle that we've been renting since my divorce. And we're within walking distance of the main house of my aunt and uncle. And on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, we could hear my big family up there having fun. We could hear music playing and people laughing and just the noises of humans gathering together. And we weren't there. We were sitting in our house. And this Christmas, right here in my hometown, I have aunts and uncles and cousins and nieces and nephews and family members who were having Christmas Eve and Christmas dinner together where I normally would have been invited, and now I'm not. And was it the day after Christmas? I think that Kevin and I had to stop by one family member's house to make sure if we still had any mail going over there because the post office is still sending mail to our old address. And as we pulled up in the driveway, there are out of town plates on cars all around the cul-de-sac and kids running up and down the driveway and my whole family getting together for Christmas celebrations. Trying to avoid showing the address here on the bulletin board of my dad. I have this letter that my mom sent to me about 2 years ago. She mailed this to me when she heard that Kevin was going to drive me to Oregon so that I could see my 80-year-old dad who's dying, and I would like to see at least one more time in this life. Dear Jenny, I've heard that you're planning to come to Oregon this summer. Please don't come here. Literally a letter from my Mormon mom telling me not to come to an entire state. I'm sorry you had such a disturbed childhood, because I talk about my life in the Mormon church on my social medias and in interviews and in books, etc. In hindsight, you might have just been a disturbed child. Your endless social media postings are devastating to me. I won't give you an opportunity to add further inventory to your complaint stockpile for TikTok or whatever. Make it up. It's what you do best anyway. If you want to see your dad, not a good idea. You get him ramped up. And you pretty much burned your bridges with your family. Hell, you torpedoed them. Have a good life. Mom, why is my Mormon family so afraid of me that they have to utterly cut me off? Because they're afraid that if they listen to me, that I may compromise their testimonies. I've had some nieces and nephews and a sibling and some other people who have left the church around the same time as me, and a couple of them that I was influential in prompting them to lose their testimonies and leave the church. And my family views me as contagious. If they're too close to me, then they might lose their faith. And then what in the world would happen without that? Part of it's just anger. I've had family members tell me that they feel betrayed. that I am not the person that they thought I was simply because I don't believe in Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and Jesus and the Bible. That's a betrayal that I've had people say that they cannot get over. I've also had family members tell me that they just can't support my sinful lifestyle. I'm not legally married to my partner. We had a Christian church wedding, but my Mormon family members see us as living in sin. And then I do things like drink coffee and have an occasional margarita and cuss and not believe in God. And I've founded an atheist church and burned my Bibles. So I am so dark and dirty and sinful that they just don't want me in their life. I mean, in their minds, a predatory Satanist. By the way, there was an actual quote face to face with a family member. You're some type of a predatory Satanist, the way you try to tear down the church. And at the end of the day, the leaders of the Mormon church continuously try to instill fear in family members about their loved ones who apostatize like me. I'm going to play for you just a little snippet of the most recent Christmas devotional from Dallin Oaks, who will be the next prophet of the church. He's currently an apostle, where he's like, yeah, love everybody, except, I mean, really, like, those apostates suck.
Oh, great. The First Presidency Christmas devotional just dropped. I wonder what the leaders of the Mormon Church have to say to make the world a better place.
We should teach our children to be kind and considerate of everyone. I'm saddened whenever I hear of non-Latter-day Saint parents in this community sorrowing because they believe that their sons and daughters have been excluded or ostracized by our member children or youth. I hope such instances are rare and diminishing. We ought to be the friendliest and most considerate of all peoples anywhere.
Oh, excellent. I'll send this to who's currently shunning me over our differences of opinion about the church. I'll tell him it makes President Oaks sad. Maybe come to Christmas.
We should, of course, shun the kind of associations that compromise our conduct or dilute our faith and worship.
Oh yeah, there it is. Merry Christmas to you too.
Having been a Mormon for 44 years, I know personally and on a very deep level how seriously I took the prophet's counsel. So I would imagine if I was a 70-year-old mom of a little blonde heretical apostate like myself, who was going around tearing down the church of the Lord and taking nieces and nephews away from the gospel, I know that probably listening to stuff like this little Christmas devotional would just reinforce for me that I needed to continue to keep that daughter out of our life and out of our family and continue to cut off my grandkids and continue to make sure that the whole entire family ghosted her so that she couldn't harm any of our beautiful testimonies of the gospel. When I first left the church, I felt very isolated and alone because we didn't have TikTok and ex-Mormons on YouTube sharing experiences. And I thought that my family shunning me was just a me thing. Now, for 4 years, I've been on social media and I have heard the stories of so many other former members of the Mormon church. And I am absolutely not alone. And I know some creator friends who it's even worse for them than it is for me. And I have so many post-religious friends who this Christmas season didn't receive gifts and phone calls and weren't invited to the family dinners with everybody else. And it's really heartbreaking. And again, it's certainly probably the heaviest price of losing your faith in a religion that your whole entire family believes is like the most foundational thing in the universe. And once we start to speak up against that system, it usually destroys every relationship in our lives. Now I'd love to hear from you. If you had a faith crisis and transitioned out of your religion, did it impact your family life? And if you are another post-religious influencer, has that come with a very heavy price in your sense of belonging in your community?